What if I told you that a janitor making minimum wage bought his first rental property at 23 and now owns 47 properties worth over $12 million? Stay tuned, because today we're diving deep into the most inspiring real estate success stories that will completely change how you think about building wealth. Plus, I'm sharing the exact strategies these ordinary people used to create extraordinary financial freedom. Welcome back to the channel where we transform financial dreams into reality. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we drop game-changing content every single week that could literally be the difference between staying broke and building generational wealth. Let me start with Marcus Thompson's incredible journey. 5 years ago, Marcus was working 2 jobs just to pay rent on his tiny studio apartment. Credit score sitting at 580, student loans crushing his budget, and zero savings in the bank. Sound familiar? Here's where it gets interesting. Instead of accepting his situation, Marcus made one decision that changed everything. He started listening to real estate podcasts during his commute and discovered house hacking. Now, house hacking is when you buy a multi-unit property, live in one unit, and rent out the others to cover your mortgage. Marcus found a duplex in his neighborhood for $85,000. The numbers worked because rent from the other unit would cover 80% of his mortgage payment. But here's the problem. Marcus had no money for a down payment. This is where most people give up, but Marcus got creative. He partnered with his uncle who had savings but no real estate knowledge. His uncle provided the down payment, Marcus managed everything, and they split the profits. Genius, right? Within 18 months, that duplex generated enough cash flow for Marcus to save for his next property. Fast forward to today, and Marcus owns 7 rental properties generating over $8,000 monthly in passive income. He quit both jobs last year and now mentors others through his real estate journey. The beautiful thing about Marcus's story is that it proves you do not need perfect credit or massive savings to start. You need education, creativity, and most importantly, the courage to take that first step. Which brings me to Sarah Chen's story that'll blow your mind. Sarah was a single mom working as a nurse, struggling with $45,000 in credit card debt. Her financial advisor told her to focus on paying off debt before investing. Thank goodness Sarah ignored that advice. Instead of waiting years to become debt-free, Sarah used a strategy called the debt snowball combined with real estate investing. Here's how she did it. Sarah bought a small rental property using an FHA loan with just 3.5% down. The rental income from this property went directly toward her highest interest credit card. As she paid off each card, she redirected those payments to the next card while simultaneously saving for her next property. This parallel approach meant Sarah was building assets while eliminating debt simultaneously. The psychological wins from paying off cards kept her motivated, while her growing real estate portfolio provided increasing cash flow. Within 4 years, Sarah became completely debt-free and owned 3 rental properties worth over $400,000. Sarah's strategy teaches us that traditional financial advice isn't always optimal. Sometimes you need to think differently and use good debt to eliminate bad debt. Her rental properties now generate enough passive income that she works part-time by choice, not necessity. Now, let's talk about overcoming the biggest obstacle most people face: fear. David Rodriguez was terrified of real estate investing because he grew up watching his parents lose their home in 2008. That fear kept him saving money in low-yield accounts for years, while inflation slowly eroded his purchasing power. Everything changed when David shifted his mindset from fear-based to education-based decision-making. He spent 6 months studying market cycles, analyzing deals, and understanding financing options. Knowledge became his confidence builder. David's first property was a foreclosure that needed cosmetic repairs. He bought it for $65,000, invested $8,000 in improvements, and refinanced at $85,000. This strategy, called the BRRR method, allowed David to pull out his initial investment and reinvest it immediately. The key insight from David's journey is that fear often disguises itself as prudence. Real risk isn't buying your first rental property after thorough research. Real risk is doing nothing while inflation destroys your savings and opportunity costs compound against you. Here's what these success stories teach us about practical wealth building. First, start where you are with what you have. Marcus used partnerships, Sarah used parallel debt elimination, and David used the BRR strategy. Different situations require different approaches, but action beats perfection every time. Second, focus on cash flow over appreciation. All three investors prioritized properties that generated immediate rental income. Appreciation is the cherry on top, but cash flow pays your bills and funds your next investment. Third, educate yourself relentlessly. These investors didn't succeed through luck. They studied markets, analyzed deals, and learned from mentors. Your education is your most valuable investment. The most important lesson: your current financial situation doesn't determine your future wealth. Marcus started with bad credit, Sarah started with debt, David started with fear. What they had in common was the decision to begin despite imperfect circumstances. Your wealth-building journey starts with your next decision. Will you let another year pass hoping things improve? Or will you take action today? Subscribe if these stories inspired you, and comment below sharing where you are in your real estate journey. Remember, every successful investor started exactly where you are right now. The difference is they decided to begin.